why you chose this career path. How did you get there?
It's funny because I think last week my answer was so upbeat and optimistic, and now I'm just like, because I'm crazy. Like, who who would do this to themselves? But ultimately, I did it because there honestly was no space for myself or my best friend. I was unable to find an agent for him. I was unable to find an agent. I was unable to find employment at an agency, even in an entry level aspect. So after meeting other actors of color who were established and, for as far as I could tell, were talented, because I ended up casting them in my projects, I realized that I was going to have to figure this out and try to do it for us.
And you're just not somebody who just woke up one day and decided, oh, I want to have this seemingly glitzy job. You come with credentials. Like, you have education, you have experience. Share that with people who may listen.
Yeah, so I have a degree from Chapman University in communications, which is down in Orange, California. It's pretty well known in the film industry. And then I also have the UCLA professional program in producing under my belt, as well as the UCLA professional program in screenwriting.
You're rather well-rounded in a lot of disciplines that could, really contribute to having some level of success, with like finance and the nuts and bolts on how productions are made and writing.
Like, yeah, I know how to be a line producer and break down scripts. I was an accountant. I'm also a registered tax preparer. So I'm a one-stop shop. I've also gone to set lighting school for a school that is one of the union schools that they accept new applications from. So I've definitely spent a lot of time really learning the craft as much as I could. And between my best friend and myself, we can actually make an entire film just by ourselves, just the two of us. We can light it, we can shoot it, we can edit it, I can cast it, we can budget it, we can do everything. So
what's been the path leading up to you opening your own agency?
The path initially was kind of similar to what you said, like, okay, I'm going to wake up and do this today. But the journey has been rough, because one of the things I wanted to do was leave behind the corporate mumbo jumbo and just be honest and straightforward and say, look, this is what I need. Here's how it works. If you do what I tell you to do, we can find success. But if you don't, then you cannot be surprised, that nothing is happening for you. And so there are, lots of bumps along the way where you bring in folks that, cause problems, and then you have to go and get rid of them. You run into issues to where, because you didn't work at another agency and you didn't have that contact list, you don't have, the contacts that you're supposed to have. And, one of those things they talk about is, having those relationships. And so because I was kept out of that world, even in a receptionist capacity, I didn't have any contacts. So I had to really work on getting those, and also getting my roster established and everything at the same time too. So you're dealing with it on both ends. You're dealing with it for talent being wary of a brand new agent. And then you have, casting being unaware of your agency, production being unaware of your agency. So you have a lot of work to do. And so the focus at first was in building a very strong roster, because, like they say, talent makes the agency. And so what they mean by that is these bigger agencies don't have to do the work that I have to do, because they're bringing in what we would call A-list talent. So for instance, if Will Smith decided to come work with me, I wouldn't have any more of these problems, because the work follows him. They come for him. But because I don't have one of those yet, and that's what we're trying to get to, I have to go out and try to get opportunities more so than I would if I were at one of the bigger agencies. I'm not saying they don't have to go out, but I'm saying that their phone rings a lot more than mine does.
If you have an A-list talent that has a lot of clout and a lot of power, how does that, outside of the opportunity, how does that lighten your load in terms of skepticism, potential prejudice, putting you through unnecessary or excessive red tape?
It's funny because in theory, it sounds like it gets better, but it doesn't. It just becomes at a higher level. I mean, you've had Black A-listers who have their own production companies, talk about some of their experiences, or even I remember Wanda Sykes in her stand-up once talked about how her agent pitched her a show where she's a millionaire who won the lottery, but she was a maid for a family, and that she loved working for that family so much that after winning the lottery, she decided to still stay there and be their maid. And in the set, she was like, I told them, set it up, because I want to meet who came up with this dumbass idea so I can slap it right out their head. And so it goes to show that, like, it doesn't matter, if you're A-list or not, you're still going to have these issues where you have development executives that are just so out of touch that they just don't get it. But, like they say, I'd rather be in that company than to continue spinning my wheels with folks who just, don't have the business acumen or even have the talent, unfortunately, to get to that level. And so that's kind of where it's coming from of, if I had more established people willing to work with me, we would be able to impact more change.
Is some of the talent skeptical of hiring you for particular reasons?
They were at first. In year one, yes, absolutely. I literally had to list my education on my website just to, I guess, give these folks peace of mind. And these were the mainly white folks. So I even went through a point where at one point I was in law school. And so I was like, I would eventually be a JD candidate. And so I had this blurb on my website of like, here's me, here's everything you need to know about me, here's all my education, this is what makes me qualified, but most of your agents don't even have any of this. So, I don't really know why you guys are scrutinizing my qualifications, but, here they are. And it's here because there are some of you who think that, I have to be some sort of Yale graduate in order to be an agent. And that seemed to work, but it's sad that I even had to say that.